Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Ruth Odie, and I am a member of Christ Central, and I will be speaking to you today from the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 11, verses 12 to 15, which I will now read to you. And what I am doing, I will continue to do, in order to undermine the claim of those who would like to claim that in their boasted mission they work on the same terms as we do. For such men are false apostles, deceitful workmen, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. So it is no surprise if his servants also disguise themselves as servants of righteousness. Their end will correspond to their deeds. That's the word of God I've just read. Yesterday we heard Will talk about Paul and the circumstances he faced with the church in Corinth, and how he chose humility in the face of, choose to act humble and be humble in the face of the accusation levied against him and the treatment he faced. Paul, despite being an apostle, had been challenged time and time again, to the extent that, as Will had said, they had asked for him to be provided with a letter of recommendation. Yet he was just humble and he kept loving and kept teaching. Here we see him telling the Corinthians that he will continue to do what he has been doing, and it will sort of, as a bid to undermine the claim of those who think their activity was on par with his. When Paul says his mission activity, I believe he's referring to sort of all of the activities we've heard in the Bible, and we've heard so far in our devotional time over the last couple of weeks. He had been capsized, he had been told by the Spirit of God to change route and directions in where he was going. It was not on par with what those individuals may have been claiming to have done, and we don't know what they are, and I think it's good that we don't know. But Paul, in his humility, rather than sort of laying out every single thing he's done and his I guess, credentials for why he is called, has decided to let his actions speak for him. I think in all of this, there is something for us to learn and take away from it. We live in a world that takes pride in and really encourages and supports people to indulge in pride and self-acclamation. Don't get me wrong, there's a time and place for self-acclamation. There's a time and place to talk about your skill set, your experiences, and how amazing you are. But I've been told, and I have observed from the best, sort of the people who I would say I look up to and I would classify as successful, I have been told that it is best for people to speak about you, and it's best for your credential and your experience to speak for you rather than you speaking for yourself. We know of many people, I'm sure every single one of us know of people, and you know what, there's sometimes it may be us as well, who are quick to talk about how amazing they are. For some people, it could be sort of in the context of being a mom, and there's that mom in the play group who's always talking about how amazing her child is, and the child was speaking before, 9 months. It's true. For others, it might be someone in the workplace who seems to have accomplished every single thing that, puts them 10 years ahead of everybody else. It's various, put it in your context. And some of it may be due to pride, some of it may be due to security, some of it may just be that's the way that person is. But in all of this, what should our response be? How should we respond to a world that pushes for us to talk about ourselves and pushes for us to sometimes choose pride over humility? And I looked at a couple of scriptures in the Bible, and one of them was Proverbs 22, chapter 27, verse 2, which says, "Let someone else praise you and not your own mouth." There's also Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 23 to 24, which says, don't let the wise boast in their wisdom, or the powerful boast in their power, or the rich boast in their riches. But those who wish to boast should boast in this alone, that they truly know God and they understand that he is the Lord. There's another verse, the final verse is Isaiah chapter 64, verse 6, which says, we are all infected and impure with sin. When we display our righteous deeds, they are nothing but filthy rags. Paul saw those men, the other people, men not only the men, saw the other people who were quick to proclaim their good as such. He referred to them as false apostles and deceitful workmen, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. Paul makes an interesting comparison with those men and Satan. And why was it? If we look back at the Bible, we all know the story. Many people who are watching this probably know the story. If you don't, if you look back in the story, so right at the start of the Bible in the book of Genesis, we see that Satan was previously an angel of God. Because of pride, he chose to break away from God. And he's the father of lies. And we see him referred to as that in the Bible, in many parts of the Bible. And also he disguises himself as a wolf in sheep clothing to deceive people. It's the same as those people. And just like Satan will always be exposed, so will the deeds of those people who are boasting will always be exposed. Their end will always correspond to their deeds. So at work, you may see people, who give themselves self-accolades and announce their progress. And you may be thinking, well, what about me? Do I need to do that in order to, get ahead at work to show that I'm just as good or even better? In the playground, it may be, do I need to talk about how awesome my child is? So, other moms or maybe other kids, I don't know, maybe like my kid or respect my kid or respect me as a mom. Again, please put it in your own context, in your friendship groups. Do I need to show that I'm just as good so people can think I'm a good friend, whatever it is. I think, as I've said before, there is a time and place to talk publicly about your accolades, but let it not be the forefront of your actions. Let it not be the forefront of your mission and your attention. Let us be like Paul and act in humility. Let us let us give God an opportunity to show up on our behalf rather than choosing to, show up on our own behalf. And I have a testimony about this. In one of my employments, I worked hard and I tried to do my best. And everyone else around me was very quick to talk about how amazing they are. And as I've said before, there's a place and time, and looking back in hindsight, I wonder if I should have been involved in some of that. But at the time, I felt like it was only right for me to let my work speak for myself. And, honestly speaking, nothing really happened. I didn't get the promotion. I wasn't the first person people reached out to say, you've said you've done this before, please do it. But one thing I know was when I was leaving the company, everybody was quick to say, thank you for all the work you did, and you did a lot. And they brought in people to do my work, but nobody could do it to the extent I did. And to me, that is a greater achievement than having all the accolades and having, having people put me on a mantle, to be honest. It was the pride in for me, it was taking pride in what I did, and I did it well, and it was honoring God. And till today, I'm yet to see someone from that organization speak a bad word. So that is it in my context. Put it in your own context and think about how it maybe applies to you today. But in all of this, it is very important that we do not choose pride over humility. There is a time and place to talk about yourself and your accolades and just put it all out there. But let that not be the forefront of everything we do, so that people see us as up there, which was what those men wanted. Paul let his deed speak for itself. Let us allow our deeds to speak for for us and let us allow God to speak for us and to use people to speak for us. That's my message for today. Short and sweet. So yeah,